welcome to the Tarot Detective Agency. This is your Tarot Detective Report. I'm not sure whether this is going to be a private detective report or whether this is going to be a city police report. But either way, this channel has seen quite a lot of name changes, and we're a Gemini over here, so just FYI. We've been Tarot Incognito, we've been Alcyone Tarot. All those things have different meanings for me, but at the moment I'm settling on Tarot Detective Agency because it's sort of funny. I like it. It makes me laugh a little. And we're going to be getting to the bottom of your reading here, yeah, so today we're doing an Aquarius reading. Now this is not for solely specifically Aquarius suns, although we're doing it during Aquarius season. But you could be an Aquarius moon, you could be Aquarius rising, or you could have Aquarius anywhere else in your chart. But you don't even have to, have an Aquarius influence in your chart. Of course, we all have Aquarius anywhere in our chart. But yeah, it could be just that you might be interested in Aquarius energy right now, and you might be interested in, just picking up on the vibe of the season right now. But we are going to go with the Aquarius. Like I said, I think in the last Sagittarius reading, we're going to go with an Aquarius. We're going to assume that we are looking at the world through the Aquarius lens, with the Aquarian MO. So that's what we're doing here. And we're going to be channeling Aquarius energy today. So that's what we're doing here. I've got two I Ching cards that I've drawn. The camera's angle is not that great here. I might just fix that actually. Hold on 1 second. Okay, that is slightly better. Yeah, so we're going to be looking at our oracle cards here, which are I Ching cards, and we're going to be getting a few tarot cards as well, and also we have some crystals present in the reading. These are crystals that I just bought actually, and so their energy is being considered as part of the reading as well. So here we have some labradorite. We've got Amazonite. It's found in the Amazon jungles. It's found in Brazil. It's found in Brazil and other countries. In South America, surrounding the Amazon, I guess. We have sunstone. It's very small, hard to see, but it's hard to see, but it's a little bit iridescent. It looks just dull there, but it's got an iridescent sheen if you hold it to the light in the right way. So we're going to be considering the energies of these in the reading as well. So yes, without further ado, let's get to the bottom of that case file you have here, Aquarius. So this is an easy time at the moment globally. And Aquarius, you're a global sign. You're the sign of sort of everyone, of people, of communities, of the collective itself, actually. And So it's going to be an interesting reading for you, I feel like. I'm, you know, it's like you always feel like you sort of should and shouldn't be drawing in your own and the collective energy into the reading because you want to read for individuals. But I feel that I think that we're not as separated as we think we are, which is a very Aquarian idea, and we are hyper connected, but we've always been hyper connected. And so, yeah, I'm not going to ramble anymore. This is the Tarot Detective Agency. We've got to get down to business here. That's what we do here. It's business. There's some bad guys to catch here. Also, yeah, I want to say there are bad guys out there. I don't know why I needed to say that. I was listening to it was a Native American elder talking about some of the philosophy. It was specifically Navajo philosophy, and how there are evil people out there, and how we need to teach our children how to recognize what's not right, what's wrong. But part of that teaching involves free thinking, involves teaching people to think for themselves. So, I think a lot of people associate being good with being obedient or not making a lot of trouble. But I think that's the last thing that really true integrity actually is. True integrity does involve making some trouble, and the right kind of trouble. And who said good trouble? I can't remember, but and it involves knowing when there are when there are bad guys, out there. And I don't know whether this is going to be a more permanent theme on the channel, but with my name change, but I think it could be something to think about. Bad guys, good guys. Who's the bad guys? Who are the good guys? And I don't necessarily believe that anyone's bad, but also truly, we all have a chance to embody a different potential, and even if even if people have some sort of like darker tendencies, that could kind of have its function if it's channeled. But I remember this at the video of this guy saying something about there's a twist in the way, and you can choose to follow one path. At a certain point, you choose to follow one path over another. That doesn't mean that you necessarily, or whoever is wholly and completely and irredeemably bad, but there is a divergence point. So I think one interesting thing about people who are maybe not doing things in our best interests is that they're divergent from the norm, but they're often trying to pull the wool over people's eyes to the effect that what they're doing is normal, because that's how they can continue to diverge but not face consequences. So yeah, I think it's an interesting thing. There's a lot of deception involved in being a bad guy, because that divergent or person, girl, whatever way anyone identifies, because that divergence is something that needs to be presented as the right way, or needs to be disguised. Anyway, I'm not going to go on in this lecture for longer. We do have to get into your reading here. So I'm just going to show you these cards here. It was just one of the beautiful synchronicities that happen in readings is that I was looking for, I drew hexagram 62, and I was looking for 62 in the booklet that describes describes the hexagrams. But I didn't look for number 62. I went to page 62. And on page 62, I found hexagram 34, which is the second hexagram I pulled. And I can't really explain this right now. I always do like a terrible job explaining the I Ching, which I don't fully have an enormous amount of lore about. But what I'll say is we pull one card, which has lines on it. This is generally done with, it's traditionally done with sticks or stones. And then the second one also has these lines, and we see which lines are different from the first one. So anyway, I went to page 62 and I found number 34, which was the second one I'd already pulled. And what's also cool about these is that number 62 is small powers, it's known as small powers. There's another name for it, but it's about the small things, the small decisive things. It's sort of about how small things can build to a critical mass. And number 34 is the great power of the great. So this is about the opposite. It's like big picture rather than the details. It's like the force of like the big forces, that move us in this world. So it's just beautiful sometimes, these coincidences and synchronicities that happen when you're reading, But yeah, so as we're looking at these hexagrams, what we have here is, they also have the changing lines. So we have, this hexagram which gives a message that small and apparently unimportant things can be decisive. But the first line we have is line 5. Okay, so line 5, that's the first line that's different on this card from that card. So line 5, in line 5, what we're dealing with is a situation where there's some pressure of critical mass, small things building up. You will need some help to get something over the line, and you'll need to be humble enough to accept help. And it should be from reliable and competent people, but reliable, diligent, but modest people who get the job done. And I think you also have to accept that what you are doing here may not entirely go to your credit. You may have to share credit with others because you can't get the job done alone, whatever it is you're attempting here. And it may just not be a very big victory that you're going to get. So I'm going to put that out there. If you're trying to do something right now and you're expecting a big win, or you're pushing and you're like, why can't it work? Why can't it happen? It's like there's some kind of a block, I guess. But I think also it's like a speed bump more than a block. It's there to help you come to the thing that needs to happen in the right time and in the right way, with the right approach, with the right intention. So yeah, the next line is line 6, and this line basically says that you need to avoid overreaching, and you need to avoid taking on too much. You could end up losing the success you're seeking by chasing after glory. You're also maybe overly caught up in big ideas and grand visions, but the big ideas and grand visions might turn out to be more responsibility than you can handle. So I think we also have the stones here, and Amazonian. I'm not sure if I'm saying this correctly. It speaks to like timidity, but also finding some courage, finding your voice. Throat chakra, I think it's heart chakra maybe as well. Communication, kind of sincerity. Labradorite is a very mystical, magical stone, and it's apparently found in northern regions. Labrador in Canada is where it was identified first. And when it was first seen, according to legend, the Inuit who saw that looked at it, and it looked like, it's hard to see under this light, but it's iridescent, and it looked like the aurora borealis, the northern lights, were trapped in the stone. So there's something here about the large being contained within the small in this stone. It's about it provides protection, but also inspiration, and kind of like a mystical, multi-dimensional, magical power. But I think it's a power like that. It has something to do with letting go. I don't know if that's what the official interpretation is, but that's what I'm feeling, so I'm just going to go with it. Here we have sunstone. Again, I think I showed this to you. It's hard to see the glitter, but there it is there. This speaks to health, vitality, and leadership. Body health, but also positivity, optimism, cheerfulness. So there's something here, I think, about maybe you have these qualities of cheerfulness, you have these qualities of good ideas, but there's something about and sincerity, but there's something about maybe not being quite ready for a leadership role. There's something about how some strengths you have are just still at an early stage of growth, or that the leadership implies and requires delegation of some kind, delegation of the troops, delegation of people who have different talents that you maybe don't have by yourself. And there's no, it's the feeling of there's no way to get around something, a process here, or other people. It's just, it has to be worked around. Another thing that I'm feeling is that there is a long shadow, and I'm getting this from this card. This is the Great Powers card. This is the card of the bigger forces. You see the big scales there, the scales that this like looming figure is holding. So there is, and this figure is so much bigger than this one here. So there is a long shadow, maybe somebody who came before you. It could be a parent, mother, father, even an ancestor for that far back. It could be a boss. It's somebody you feel unequal to, and it's somebody that you could be rushing to equalize with this person or figure, that you feel it's your time, but it maybe isn't quite yet your time. But there's a newness to what you have to say or offer. You feel this very acutely. You feel untested. And you're very sincere. There's a sincerity in this. You're really sincere in the experimentation that you feel. Like you're not experimenting in a wanton way. You're really testing, like in a lab. You're really testing out like these new processes, and you're doing it with a lot of humility, I think. But it feels like you're doing it in the presence of people who think that things should happen quickly, or that you should prove yourself, or everyone should prove themselves and have like credits to their name. I'm thinking of scientists, I'm thinking of research papers, I'm thinking of, how many research papers have you got? Well, I'm actually working on something really, really interesting. you know. And in fact, the less that I rush to um, put out these papers, to shove out these papers into the world, that more I can calibrate my research, and the more meaningful it is, and the more important, and yeah. So there's something about that. So you're in a stagnant situation. I think the people in that situation maybe aren't admitting that it's stagnant, but there is a kind of a power vacuum there also. It's like people are still thinking about that old order, that old boss, you know. Um, what's the word? The real boss, or I can't think of it. The final boss, the final boss. They're looking for the final boss. They're looking for the person who's gonna know everything, be almost omniscient, or who maybe was omniscient, or made themselves seem omniscient, or they kind of like their presence pervaded everything. And it doesn't have to be a person; it could be like an energy as well. And they're scurrying around looking for somebody to they're in a bit of disarray, the people around you. The challenge is, though, it's to be, for you, is to be a different kind of leader than whoever this was. Whoever this leader was didn't really give the people their own sense of empowerment. They did everything, and they were everywhere and everyone somehow. So yes, the newness of your perspective, it feels, I think you feel like you're being unrealistic right now. But difficult to implement is not the same as unrealistic, and I think you need to try to remember that. Like, it could be that what you're doing is a little bit more difficult to implement, or it's a little bit more experimental right now, or it's simply difficult to implement under the current conditions where people are quite stagnant. But current conditions don't determine the value of your ideas or leadership. There's also a feeling I'm getting of this figure here, which is also a vibe I'm getting of somebody who walked in the halls of a school or an institution and policed that school or institution, and was always there in the corners, and always there, almost coming out of closets. I think it makes me think of Harry Potter. I don't really want to give any airtime to J.K. Rowling on this channel, but we've known it's a cultural artifact, I guess. It's like the teachers who would just emerge from these corners, and they would seem to know everything. Instead of scales, I'm seeing actually a lamp here, like the hermit and the hermit tarot. This figure is looming but invisible. So again, maybe it's someone who has passed on, someone who has left the business or institution, or just someone, or even an energy that has put in place the current system and then left, so no one quite knows what to do anymore. And you feel this responsibility to step into a role, but it's scary because of the expectations, this long shadow. And you also may, there also may be something about how you actually don't want to step into this role. It's different for different people. Some people want it. Others may want to explore the possibility that it's not what you want, that the leadership role that maybe was prepared for you, or you were always, you were always told there was a succession, you would always take up this role at some point, that it's not what you want anymore. And that maybe it's okay to be a team player or in the background. And that doing your own thing is a form of leadership, no matter what you're doing. I really believe that, truly. And I think it's something that we all need to internalize. But people who fully internalized it, they make the world better, because it's the decisiveness of that, and it's the self-belief of that. That's always leadership. So we're gonna get some tarot cards for you now, and I always try to make sure I shuffle the cards off camera, sort of, but you can kind of see I'm doing it because I'm such a bad shuffler, and I say this every time. It's my detective agency. I don't do shuffling. Well, I should really. I should be good at if I was like a 30s detective. 1930s, the noir detective. Anyway, okay, so see what we got here. Okay, got the Page of Cups. Oops, what's this now? What have we got here? We've got the Devil. Ooh. This is the Tour Tarot. I'll put the description. You've got the Four of Cups. Ooh. We've got the Wheel and Strength came out together. The Wheel of Fortune and Strength. Interesting. Okay. So, Page of Cups and the Devil. That's really mapping out onto what we're talking about here. You know, it's somebody who maybe feels like they're a novice, like they're always a novice, always going to be a novice. And they're kind of caught up in something that just is bigger than them, that they're just, it's never their thing, it's always someone else's thing. There's a kind of, it's giving this vibe of, like I was talking about before, with the succession of, like, you know, your family runs a business and you're always you're kind of like the shoe shiner, going around doing little jobs for people, and you're kind of, there's just, it's like the firm, you know. I think they call the UK monarchy is the firm. You know, everybody's like kind of subsumed into this greater purpose of this family, which is almost from like a business. That's the vibe I'm getting here. We've got so we've got the Four of Cups. We've got the Wheel, and we've got Strength. The Wheel of Fortune, and then we've got Strength. So something's changing, something's turning over in this organization, in this place, in this environment. And yeah, there's stagnance here. There's a stagnant energy. It could even be grieving, you know, maybe someone really has passed on here. Strength here. I'm going to ask about strength. Let me check about strength. As they say, as the tarot readers say, spirit, spirit. Let's get something for strength here. I am sort of a semi-mystic, but I'm also a skeptic, and so I don't necessarily call out to spirit as an entity, but I do have I have connection with that. They're just different ways in which I interact with that. So yeah, we have the Two of Wands. Here's somebody opening a window, looking out. It's like looking out upon on a morning. And again, I'm just really getting this like scion of a dynasty sort of a vibe here. It's like a young man in a big house with the shutters. So the Two of Wands is helping us to maybe understand. I feel like it's like helping us to understand where our strengths came from. Where did our strengths come from? Do they come from us? Are they coming from someone else? Our family, our bloodline? Like, what's innate and what's kind of received? You know, what's nature and what's nurture? Sometimes that's really important to determine so we can make decisions, because We have to figure out whether our decisions are independent or whether they're ruled by something. But I also feel like maybe there's some sort of concern over this, like, you can't do anything until you know this. That's the feeling I have. That's that you don't want to act until you can separate these things. And well, this card definitely warns about taking on too much. I feel like the thing is, the way that action and progress is being modeled to you maybe has been not the best, not the most intuitive, and not the most responsive and sensitive. So maybe there is a way that you can move forward. Excuse me. Knowing your own strengths. Or maybe it's like not knowing your strengths. And actually kind of seeing your strengths as a legacy of some kind, whether it's your own legacy of your own individual unique being, or whether it's like a further back legacy of other people you were connected to. It's a legacy, it's an inheritance of some sort, and so you can choose to do good with that or not. Let's get a bit more now on this strengths and decisions. Ooh, that came flying out. Two of these. The Emperor, the Empress. Wow, just wow. I'm sorry. There's been a break in the case. I just love the like exquisite like patterns and patterning of these. They're called readings for a reason. You know, we are reading something. There's a language. There's a code here, and within codes we get these repeating patterns. You know, and they're not random. So, whoops. This fell out here, so maybe we'll go with this. The Emperor, the Empress, the Sun, and the Four of Pentacles. Interesting. So here we have the Emperor and the Empress. Okay, and like these two look like they're maybe like looking away from each other and like engaged in their own business. Maybe it looks like I don't know, maybe you had two parents who live very separate lives somehow. Or maybe this isn't parents. Maybe these again are energies within an organization or within an institution, or even, you know, we could be talking about a relationship here, that you're in a marriage, a long marriage, or a long relationship, or even a relationship with creativity, with your own success. And it seems like there's a division of labor here, which is a good thing, but it seems like it's very much divided along certain lines, maybe masculine and feminine lines. There's also, I'm really getting from this kind of like, again, this like, it's like charity, you know, like we have charity because we embody feminine, divine, feminine, whatever you want to call it, energy. So there's this charity that we do, but it's like, maybe it's like some sort of a token effort in that way, in the way that philanthropy sometimes is, you know. It's like, oh, we give to the needy, that's what we do. So that's the Empress energy. It's like I'm seeing charity, but I'm seeing giving to the needy or helping, but it's done in a sort of remote way, almost a superior way. And then here we have the Emperor, and the Emperor is engaged in something, planning, or you know, there's a weightiness to this card, and he's like waiting for people to advise him. Maybe he doesn't do a lot without advisors. Maybe he just has a lot of people around him. This is a big church, as they say, and this could be, it could be the world right now. It could be your immediate, the town you live in, your family, your community, the community, your friend group or something, or a relationship, or yourself, or your parents. And then we have the sun. And the sun is, I'm trying to see it clearly because these are like beautiful woodcuts that have been copied. It looks like there's a bird who's carrying a person or something. There's a strange energy to this. It's like there's hope. But are we flying too close to the sun, or are we worried about this? I mean, that was what we were worried about earlier, right? We're going to be taking on too much. And then we have the Four of Pentacles. And again, the Four of Pentacles is like, well, you know, it should speak of security. But in this card, I feel like there's maybe the sense that we are grounded through something that's like passed on, the head, the skull. That's how we have felt grounded, is through things that came far before us that we don't have control over, long before us, sorry, that we don't have control over, traditions of some sort, you know. I mean, the Four of Pentacles has good and bad aspects. In this card, I see a slightly more negative aspect, at least in this reading. So the security is associated with this like stagnancy. And there's also somebody here trying to study, like they're distracted, they want to be left alone. I'm getting the sense of alienation quite strongly. There's a lot of alienation in this reading. People are alienated from each other. They're doing things separately. They're not talking to each other. But the business is going on as usual, but it has been. But then it isn't anymore, because somebody's left, somebody's died, somebody's departed, somebody's passed on, and there's no longer this centrifugal force. So I just want to get like a few cards to ask a final question or two for you, because you're left with this situation in which you feel kind of lost, but you also feel important, like you have a responsibility, a duty. What do you do with that, you know? This is a confusing situation. There are many other people's energies. There's like a long tradition, like far before you were born. And even, I think, and whether it's a family or whether it's the way you feel about how you are in society, how you're placed in society, it's like, I think you're trying to use the strengths that you have, but you're trying to not be ruled by this legacy. And that's really difficult. And I have to say that whoever's doing this is a noble person. There's a nobility to this, because you've taken on a lot of weight on your shoulders, and maybe you took this on like when you were very young, possibly. And the fact that you're ready to shoulder this at all, you know, you could be more like loyal to your family, your community, or maybe you could be less loyal, and you just find yourself in some place where you kind of have to do something, but you don't really want to as much. But either way, you have such a quiet courage here. That's what I'm feeling, because you're dealing with kind of ghosts almost, effectively. It's like there's ghosts in the room, and you're fighting off like quite a lot of, I'm just gonna hold this there, it's for protection. You're fighting off a lot of negativity, for sure, but also just other people's confusion, other people's, you know, lack of initiative, other people's need for guidance and a strong hand. You are trying to awaken something within yourself that's like more self-directed, more empathetic. And it's hard. You're in a hard environment to do that. It's stony ground where you are. So the cards we have are the chariot. So this is your advice. It's the chariot. And we have the Two of Cups. This is beautiful. It's a beautiful card here. So it could be there's some kind of relationship here. You know, it looks like the lovers in this card have really, they're really trusting each other. There's some real trust. They're really leaning into each other's support there. Um, and then we have the Ace of Wands, which is the fire, you know? It's the fire that I think you're looking for. And it's funny because I don't find Aquarius to be an uncertain energy normally. It's a fixed sign. But I'm seeing whoever I'm speaking to here, I'm seeing that they're not in touch with their you may be in touch with it, or you may be temporarily out of touch with, let's say, temporarily disconnected from, hung up, you know, with phones when they're like off the hook, right? Off the hook, left off the hook from your natural, really just like integrity and kind of grit and kind of like optimism and eccentricity. There's something off balance. And we also have the Four of Wands, which is like we've got all the fours out now again. You know, no, we don't actually have the Four of Swords. We have three of the fours out, but we've got the Four of Wands, which is like, if you think about these other fours, right? Four means stability. Like this one is like very kind of dead, etc. Very, very hidebound, very stagnant. This one too is like, oh, just leave me alone, you know? It's stuck. But here we have the Four of Wands, and there's celebration in the Four of Wands. So it looks like there's something where you're creating your own home here, your own form of stability that's a lot more dynamic, and it's also like pushing forward regardless, which makes me think of the forces that I mentioned. Like, okay, I'm made of all these forces. Who am I? Am I this? Am I that? Am I like this because of mom or dad, or because of this boss that, you know, this company I've worked at forever, but I'm going forward anyway. And it could be like, I'm just, you know, I have help. Again, I have help. I'm not alone. And I'm doing it with this energy of, it looks like this is a very like apocalyptic sort of a deck. There's a lot of demons here, but it looks like they're kind of scattering. Like this fire like is making them scatter. The sparks are making them scatter. So yeah, I feel like this is mostly it. I might just get one more just to close it off. So the Eight of Cups. Lovely. Here we have somebody who's walking away, or well, they're actually in their little chariot with their little sheep, pulling the chariot, and they're walking towards the moon, and they're looking back a little sadly, but there's a quite idyllic scene here. You know, there's a quietness. I think you're on your way, and you might be maybe leaving this kind of toxic environment behind. You're doing it quite quietly, though. You're not, you know, there is a real warning here with trying to take on these demons, maybe even trying to like work out your demons in an energetic way that could be destructive to yourself. But it looks to me here like you're just using your feet. You're not using all these intellectual received ideas of like what I should be or whatever. You're using your feet. And that's the right thing to do. And you have support here. It's a beautiful thing here. I don't know if there's a love relationship for you coming in, but it could be the type of love relationship that kind of rebirths your legacy. It's like you're breaking a cycle together, if it is a love relationship, but it could be just in general some kind of support, even from yourself, a connection that you made even with yourself. So I'm going to leave you there. Thank you for being here. This has been your tarot detective report, and I wish you all the best, all the luck, and all the love, and I will see you next time.